Okay, well, welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us here at the Heaping Cup of Conversation about careers beyond academia. And I am Kate Meredith, and I'm with Glass Education. I've been on the education committee since COVID, and so I got a slow start, so they let me stay extra long. And I'm hoping this is going to be hopefully a contribution to this issue that a lot of us are dealing with about with the burgeoning number of students who are appearing in our undergraduate classes and gaining degrees in astronomy and astrophysics, and the number of graduate positions are not increasing likewise. And what else can people do with a degree that gives them the diversity of thought and skills that astronomy does? And how do we best support that? So we'll be talking about that today. Our goal for today's meeting really is about looking at who's all doing work with AAS, who's doing this work, what's the conversation looking like, who's got resources, who's addressing what part of the issue, and hopefully at the end, we'll have a better idea of where we want to go next. So with that, that is my introduction. I'd like each one of you to introduce yourself and tell us what got you here and what will keep you coming back. All right. Mallory, I'm going to put you on the hook since you are also part of the Education Subcommittee number 4.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Mallory Comlin. I'm the outreach astronomer at Yerkes Observatory right next door to Glass in Williams Bay, Wisconsin. As Kate mentioned, I am part of the AAS Education Committee on Subcommittee 4, which is focused on identifying resources for students that might be interested in careers outside of academia. So I'm super excited you all are here today. I'm glad we're recording this so we can share widely with everybody. But yeah, looking forward to a great conversation.
Okay. Chelsea.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chelsea Sharon. I'm the current chair of the AAS Committee on Employment. Very relevant. And you'll have to excuse me if I'm a little extra sniffly. I've come down with a cold, so if I start sneezing and make noises, my apologies.
Okay. And Chelsea's going to be presenting today, so that's what's got her here, and we'll see if we can hook her into coming back. But there's a lot of committee activity going on, and so we're just glad to have you here today. Jeffrey is also going to be presenting today, but Jeffrey, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, hey, I'm Jeff Silverman. I am a data scientist in the tech industry. I am on the BACAC, the Beyond Academic Career Advisory Council, and will be presenting on behalf of them during this meeting. I'm also an organizer of ATDS, Astronomers Turned Data Scientists, which I'll mention during that presentation. And yeah, that's what I'm here for.
Excellent. And Emma.
Hi. I am also on the Beyond Academia, Beyond Academia Career Advisory Committee with Jeff. I am here when Kate came and talked with our committee. I'm very curious about this intersection of all the different committees working or having a perspective on this idea of outside academia. Personally, the farther I went through my graduate career, the less I knew what I wanted to do. But I was pretty sure it wasn't typical soft money research scientist at a university. And I didn't even know such things outside of that world existed until I was in grad school and kind of figuring out that wasn't really what I liked. And a lot of my cohort felt that same way. So I'm very interested in making sure that people know about these other careers or these other pathways from an earlier point in their career. So I've been interested in this aspect for a long time, which is why I joined the AAS committee, and having since then learned that the Education Committee and the Employment Committee are also working on these types of topics. I'm curious to kind of see what those different connections are, and understand what each committee's role can be or how to work together.
Thanks. And James, can you introduce yourself?
Hi there. Morning? Good noon for me. My name is James Shadowkati. I'm the Education and Outreach Coordinator for the Astrophysics Research Center Sierra at Northwestern University. I'm here today because I mentor some graduate students in their career paths outside of academia. I myself have a background in astronomy, but also a lot of my career has been in informal science learning, science center, science museums, and I'm looking to. I've seen Kate. You give a AAS presentation before. I've been a part of this Beyond Academia roundtables at these AAS meetings. So interested to see more resources and that I can share with other graduate students and beyond here at Sierra.
Okay, so getting resources into people's hands, and that really was for me my biggest motivation is that when this subcommittee was formed, I felt like it was taking too much of my time and energy to figure out what everyone was doing so we didn't overlap efforts. I thought a better way to do it would be to do it simultaneously with helping everyone else understand and get the word out more. And I am going to start. Sandlin was not able to make it. I don't see an email from her, so we will welcome her presentation if she arrives later. But I will start off by sharing my screen and going over a few things about the AAS Education Committee and what we are doing. So we are just one of the groups that is, let's see, let's go here. We're just one of the groups that is working on this issue, but we're all taking a different angle on it. And this is why I'm really happy to be here today with this new group, this new outreach effort, so that everyone kind of has a higher level overview to start with about where do they go for specific resources or information, or what is everyone trying to contribute to this. So I'm assuming everyone is seeing my screen. Just our AAS Education Subcommittee number 4, Careers Beyond Academia. That is us. And who are we and why are we? So we were formed as a directive out of the 2020 AAS Beyond Academia Task Force final report and recommendations. They also recommended that there be 3 additional members added to the AAS Education Committee, and that they specifically to add people to look at this particular issue. And we didn't actually become formed as a separate subcommittee until 2024. Although as a large committee, we've been looking at it, but we decided to structure what we do as a subcommittee or as a education committee in terms of working in subcommittees, and so that smaller groups of people could focus more quickly and more energy on specific issues. So currently it's myself, Rika French, and Mallory Conlon who's on the call, and we are seeking additional members. So that is something that Sandlin can speak to about the process of joining this subcommittee if you are interested. So with that, what are we focusing on? So what makes what's unique about what we're doing? Why do 3 groups exist? So there's this general consensus that students pursuing astronomy and astrophysics degrees, both at the undergraduate and graduate level, need to be informed about career opportunities that align with their degrees. And it's essential for students to receive real good guidance, some comprehensive guidance, but we also need to support faculty members and mentors regarding potential career paths, as well as to how to incorporate various skills and interests into their professional journey. So myself, I have been working in the area of astronomy education and outreach for over 20 years, and I have had 60-ish interns come through programs that I have run over the years, and I have watched them tackle these issues around what am I going to do with my life, and how do I incorporate more and more of who I am into my career? How do I mesh work-life balance? What can I do with a degree? Oh, what do I do if I change my mind? And so I've also talked a lot with professors and people who are engaging with these students, and they can't invent all of the resources that they need and become an expert on this, but they see the need. Everyone is really seeing the impact in their departments. They're excited, but we want to do well by our students who are spending a lot of money to get a really cool degree. So what do they do next? So those are my personal motivations to do this. Glass Education is an organization who's also been running an online community called the Sonification World Chat for the last 5 years. And I saw so much success in that community and how that community was structured in supporting new projects and conversations and really increasing the network so we don't reinvent the wheel in the area of sonification. I thought, well, we'll try that model out here and see what we can do. So I suggested it to the education committee. So I'm on my next slide. And what we had decided as a group, prior to deciding to try this COCO idea, is that the education subcommittee number 4 is focused on delivering resources, content, and guidance to the educators to how to engage students in discussions and support active explorations in careers outside of academia. So our focus as an education committee is reaching the faculty, staff, people who are working directly with the students, the educators. How do we get them the resources so that they can do their job? So that's how I'm right now we're trying to put some guardrails around what we do as we watch what the other committees are doing who've been working at this for quite a bit more time than us. So what if we can provide, sort of the career good fairy role or executive secretary or whatever we want to call it, if we can help in some way create those resources and to get the conversations going, find the resources and get them to the people who can use them. Our focus is on the educators. So we decided to work on this conversations on careers outside academia. And so because our students need guidance from our community and from the astronomy community, faculty and students can't wait until we become experts on the topic to receive support. So in 4 months of really digging into this, I didn't feel like I was becoming an expert. I had lots of ideas that I could see some needs, but my capacity to produce those, I didn't feel confident in it. And I also didn't have the time to produce. We didn't, as a committee, just didn't have that amount of time available. So how can we accelerate that or get directives from the community as to what's needed? Much better in this area as being a task-oriented directives. So we believe that the parts of the solution exist in the community of educators tackling these challenges. Everybody around the country has a piece or something that's working, and that your solutions in your area are going to be unique to your school, to your institution, and to what other industries are local to you, engaging with industries and with other opportunities, educational institutions, what natural resources, whatever's out there in your community is going to be unique. So if we can look at sharing information across the country, I think that will also accelerate what we're doing. So this is our experiment. We are going to meet monthly. I'm committed to do this through May, each month, and set up a format so that it becomes, this is what we do, and see if at the end of 4 months, are all 36 of those people who initially signed up showing up? What is going to motivate people to come? Can we be a valuable enough resource to do that? So, and then hopefully, if the COCO proves to be a valuable resource and a platform for our collective efforts, then we can move to formalizing it and decide on what our core values are and if we need to do spin-off groups. This is the trajectory that happened with the Sonification World Chat. We had a period of time where we met as, a glass-led effort, and then we started spinning off side groups or other side conversations got going. So it's like, how can this be supportive? We're going to do this for 4 months, evaluate what comes next, and see if we can fill a need. So if we can fill a need, we're all good. So with that, how can you help? Tell us what you think. Go into that agenda doc, share your favorite resource or what you would like to see happen. But next, the plan that I will follow for the next 4 months is that each one of these meetings, we will have a resource. And then I'd like to have a profile, somebody speaking who's not part of academia, who has taken their degree and gone and done something unique with it. So we want to have a career profile because I've heard from a lot of people that those examples are important. And from those career profiles, we can start pulling out and creating a slide presentation or other resources from that, or maybe short clips from those. We'll be using what is produced in the COCO to further all of our aims. So that's the format we will follow. We will always introduce ourselves, and we'll have something that tries, in our introductory session portion of the agenda, so that people get to know each other, know what your concerns are, and start picking out people they might want to have other conversations with. And then, of course, then the career profile, and then some resource, some example of a program that a university has done, or a group has done, or an industry has launched, in order to provide more information about careers outside of academia. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And if you have any questions about what we think is going to happen on the COCOs, or on what AAS Education Subcommittee number 4 is doing, just speak up now. All right, you're also welcome to type anything you like into the bottom of the agenda. I will clean all these up afterwards and give out some meeting notes. Okay, and with that, let me go over here and escape and get back to my agenda. And so, Chelsea, would you share your screen and tell us about the employment committee?
Sure.
You guys are busy.
Let me. I'm usually not a PowerPoint person, so hopefully this works. All right. I think you are just seeing the whole thing and not the specific screen. Let's try a different one. There we go. Okay. That looks like that should be working.
Yes, it's working correctly.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I am Chelsea Sharon. I'm the current chair of the AAS Committee on Employment, usually just shortened to the Employment Committee. So the Employment Committee is a group of 14 volunteers and a couple of AAS staff that works on all issues related to astronomy employment. So our official charge is to facilitate the professional development and employment of astronomers at all career stages and at all career paths, and to promote balance and fairness in the job market. So we support people who are trying to do the traditional academic route and also going through the not traditional, actually majority route, which is not in academic careers. We are somewhat dominated on our committee by people who are on academic paths, though we try to sample widely. We make sure we have some early career people on our committee, some people from aerospace who try and get some industry folks, but generally speaking, we're a little bit biased in our knowledge, so we're super happy to have be able to collaborate with like folks on the BACAC who have a little bit more industry experience that we can sort of tie into. And you can see the full list of members on the website. So what does the Employment Committee do? We organize and support a bunch of professional development and networking opportunities at AAS meetings. So our regular ones that we've been doing for, oh goodness, years now. I remember going to some versions of these back when I was a grad student, going to my first AAS, which was a redacted number of years ago, was the Beyond Academe, the Exploring Astronomy Powered Career Paths. We have a panel and our roundtable. So like Jeff was helping out with this past year. And so for the panel, we had like 6 people representing various career paths. And then for the roundtables, we had 20 people representing various different career paths. So lots of conversations were happening there about options and how people navigated out of astronomy and into whatever career interested them. A couple of other examples of our more recent kind of newer workshops is a how to give great presentations workshop. So to support some of our early career folks who maybe are giving their 15 minutes of fame talk at AAS and maybe aren't so certain how to do that well. And then also this past AAS, we just launched a project management workshop, which is useful for both people in academia managing research groups and for people who are going into industry, talking about various softwares and things that people can use to do that. We also sometimes will help sponsor various other workshops that are put on and support them to the AAS if it's related to professional development. We also provide a lot of career resources online because not everybody can go to a AAS meeting. So if you go to, for example, the AAS YouTube channel, there's a huge list of webinars and archived career workshops that one can access. So these are like panel discussions on specific careers. There's things on converting your CV to a resume. There's on combating imposter syndrome. There's on interviews. So there's a bunch of these archived YouTube videos. One of our pushes this year is going to be making sure that all of these various archived resources are more easily accessible, since some of them are, again, on like the AAS YouTube channel, a lot of them are on the AAS Women newsletter, and making sure those are all sort of centralized and archived so people can find them a little bit more easily is one thing we're going to be working on. We had a contract with Elena Levine providing sort of one-on-one career consultations at a very discounted rate. So if people wanted more specific advice on how to, pitch their experiences as an astronomer to a specific industry, she would often help with that at something like $30 for half an hour, which is way cheaper compared to a normal career coach. So something that's hopefully accessible to folks. We also provide, we have like resources on equitable and inclusive hiring. So like a whole list of peer-reviewed research on best processes for that. This is a little bit more focused on the academic side of things. And a whole lot more. The other thing we do is we do a lot of monitoring on community hiring trends and sort of employment statistics. So basically we scrape everything off of the AAS job register, look at what's been posted, and do analyses about that. We tend to publish these in sort of our AAS news articles, occasionally on certain blogs. We include these in State of the Profession reports, but basically this is an analysis we do every year to look at things to see if anything notable has popped up. And so if you have any statistics questions about what sort of things have been published, let us know, and we're happy to answer any questions and do that analysis for you guys. We also were involved in, for example, the AAS job register revamp, trying to make that a little bit more user-friendly and encourage good practices in terms of including things like salary information in your job posting and that sort of thing to help people find jobs that they're interested in. And aid our analyses to see what we can do to better support the community as well. So there are pages and pages full of resources. So if you were to go to the AAS website and click on the careers button at the top, there's a subpanel if you just hover that will give you to the job register, and then the information and advice kind of takes you to this page, and then the employment committee takes you to all our contact information. But if you go to information and advice, you can find the career resources page has a lot of pages on like interviewing advice, writing resumes. There's a thing that might be particularly useful for professors is if you get a bunch of cold emails from students about like, what is an astronomy career like? What should I do? We have like a page that has that all written out, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel on that one. Let's see, career services, I believe, has the links to some of Elena's stuff. Internships and summer job listings, career profiles, and the astronomy powered careers. Those two pages are a little bit redundant to one another, and one of those things that we want to merge in the upcoming year, but those have some of the profiles about astronomers who've both gone into traditional careers and gone into non-academic careers as well. And so that's pretty much it. We are here for you. We're always happy to take questions and requests. I have pages and pages of backup slides if people have any questions, but I'll just leave it there.
Well, thanks, Chelsea, because that your committee's been around for a while and it's doing a lot of work. So do we have any questions about anything she said or other resources? Because I know the knowledge runs deep here.
I can jump in with a quick question. It was a comment that I just threw in the Google Doc too. But one of the things that struck me as you were talking about the resources to support different to support people in their career finding, and you had particularly mentioned resumes, and there were other ones in there as well. It made me wonder if there. Sorry, my brain's broken already today. Resumes are tailored based on field. And so what you might put together for more of an academic career versus an outside academic career, an industry career, a particular kind, might require a different format or a different way to highlight skills in resumes. So I was wondering if some of those advice and tips and tricks you have, if they include those different variations for the outside academia, or if that is an area where this group or these different committees could contribute to. Here's an example of a resume that would be good for a data scientist position versus a communications position or something like that. So that was just a kind of a thought that I had as I was hearing those resources.
Yeah, I don't think we provide any like specific examples. I think most of the advice that we have is sort of the general things, like a CV and a resume are two very different things. Like there's some expectations in terms of length and what kinds of information you should be including that are quite different. I believe there are some links to specific advice for like tech sector jobs, just because that's been historically a thing a lot of people have gone into. But we don't have like a full breakdown on how this might look differently for all the various different paths one might choose.
That makes me think, though, that as we develop speaker lists or people to come in and present here, is that we can ask if somebody's coming from industry or if somebody's coming from a field or they are presenting about their own journey, some suggestions as to what should be highlighted on a resume. That would be a good thing to tee up for those speakers. Other questions or comments on this or Chelsea's presentation? All right, with that, we are going to go to our last presenter. And do you prefer Jeff or Jeffrey?
It doesn't matter. Jeff has one fewer syllable, so that works. But
well, Jeffrey sounds very dignified. So,
my mom thinks so.
So we moms, yeah. Yeah, we're looking forward to hearing about our last group, the AAS Beyond Academic Careers Advisory Committee.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, this is an intro to BACAC. It's a bit of a long acronym, but yeah, Beyond Academic Careers Advisory Committee. So where did BACAC come from and what is it? Also from the 2020 AAS Beyond Academy Task Force final report and recommendations. The specific bit was we proposed that a Corporate Engagement Advisory Committee, which is now called BACAC, be chartered and the AAS board by the AAS board with a focus on enhancing interactions between AAS and astronomers working in the private sector. Private sector we thought was a little bit narrow. Corporate engagement we thought was a little bit narrow, so we tried to be more inclusive by changing it to beyond academic careers and sort of tweak some of the language there. Our first meeting was in April 2023, so it also took us a few years to get going, but I guess we are more seasoned than Subcommittee 4, which I learned earlier today, so that's interesting. And we are now pretty consistently having monthly meetings. It took us a while to get going, but we're sort of on that monthly cadence now. I believe we are the only AAS committee with a singular focus on career paths for astronomers beyond academia. And as I said, we try to be quite inclusive. This term beyond academia, we're including aerospace, we're including EPO, SciComm type stuff, of course, data science, software, tech, engineering, and government policy type stuff as well. And so we, according to our charter, and you can check out our website on the AAS web pages, BACAC will enhance interactions between the AAS and all astronomers. identify ways for the AAS to engage more closely with all astronomers, promote a diversity of career options for all astronomers, and enhance connections between the AAS and industry, government, and other organizations. And it's really those last two, I think, that make us more unique, I would say, than some of the other groups. Currently, we're composed of 14 current and former astronomers. A chunk of us work in tech, roughly speaking, data science-y stuff, software engineering. We've got a few folks from the aerospace, space awareness type side of things. We've got a few folks from government policy stuff, also working for the government in tech, so sort of an overlap, and SciComm, science communication, outreach, education type stuff, and two that are in academia. And that was sort of purposeful to have, a more closely formal tie to folks in academia. So we decided we wanted to kind of present some of the projects that we've sort of ramped up and are thinking about, and then we'll have lots of time for questions because this is a relatively short presentation. So the first one that we thought about was this National Academies report from a number of years ago that talked about graduate STEM education for the 21st century. And so basically it called for a systemic shift in grad education to become more student-centric, and it emphasizes tailoring grad education to enable a broad range of career outcomes. So very similar to what we've been talking about here already. We believe AAS endorsement of this report will just sort of help give astronomy educators, one more reason to, one more good argument to reform astro education, focus more on students and careers beyond academia. So that was one thing that part of the BCAC committee was pushing for. One thing near and dear to my heart is Astronomers Turned Data Scientists, ATDS. It's a loose-knit informal community founded in 2019. I'm one of the co-founders and one of the current organizers. So from my charter that I wrote for this thing, we want to create a more cohesive community among former astronomers who are currently working with big data in industry, and between those former astronomers and current astronomers. So again, very consistent with a lot of what we're talking about here. A little bit more niche or specific, specifically talking about data science is in the name. It makes a nice acronym, and I'm kind of stuck with it. But very broadly speaking, we have a very broad definition of data science. So I talk about big data or tech industry, pretty much anyone working with data beyond academia. If you're working for an aerospace company doing more engineering, if you're working for a federal government agency working with big data, that kind of all falls under the bucket in my mental model, at least. The big thing that we do every year since 2019, since Jan 2019, is we run a day-long splinter session during the winter AAS meetings. We have a day full of speakers, mostly former astronomers who are working with data beyond academia. We usually have one or two speakers that are current data or astronomy researchers that are using big data, machine learning techniques in their research, which is awesome. And there's lots of networking that goes on. We send people from our group to the Beyond Academy panel and roundtable discussion. The picture we saw earlier of the roundtable, I'm actually in it on the left side. I almost drew a little circle around me, as well as another ATDS person, Josh Miller, was on that picture as well. Those splinters, I will give a shout out, have been sponsored by the AAS Committee on Employment, so we've worked closely with them since 2019. The American Institute of Physics has also supported us financially. Occasionally, we do get some corporate sponsors for that, so that is sort of where the bulk of our money comes from for ATDS specifically. And then also just a quick rundown of what ATDS has. We have an email list, a podcast, a YouTube channel, a Slack workspace, a Blue Sky account, and a website, atds.space, that has links to all of that and our past splinter sessions as well. Another thing that BCAC is interested in and has been thinking a lot about is mentoring. We're sort of discussing, and a few of the folks on the committee are digging into some recommendations for how AAS members can seek out mentors from beyond academia. So ideas ranging from, a formal AAS linked database, maybe something a little bit more simple, just a AAS hosted web page, or something really grassroots, sort of an informal web-based list, a Google Sheet or something, with people that are interested in mentoring or interested in getting mentored. The APS, the American Physical Society, has a long-standing and highly utilized program called Industry Mentoring for Physicists, called also known as IMPACT. And we think AAS participation in that could give a clear and effective pathway for astronomers working beyond academia to connect with AAS members to provide direct mentoring experiences. So a couple of folks on our committee are investigating how that could work. Can we just sort of mooch off of what exists there? Can we clone it? Can we just use some good ideas from there? Things like that. We also sort of officially recommend that AAS members should continue to, with active support from the AAS, self-organize into communities where mentoring relationships can grow organically. An explicit recommendation we're considering is formally promoting the ATDS community. Definitely, BCAC has been very good about informally promoting it, and ATDS is one of these sort of self-started, self-organized, and mentoring relationships do grow sort of organically among current and former AAS members and current and former astronomers. So the last bit here, just some future directions for the advisory committee. We're looking to undertake new projects, right? We've sort of gotten ramped up. We've got our feet under us. We've got a good group of folks. We've got some ideas of what to work on, some potential examples, creating a repository of skills that astronomers should acquire that are applicable to careers beyond academia. This could certainly involve resume writing, as we were just discussing, as well as other skills that we could discuss with educators, et cetera. Something that I personally really like and have suggested is maintaining a list of astronomers with careers beyond academia that departments can ask to give colloquia about their careers and career paths. The AAS has a longstanding public policy talks program where they will send a public policy AAS person to give a colloquium. I would love to see something for that for careers beyond academia. Maybe it's not quite as formal or funded, but something in that vein I think could be really useful for universities and institutions around the country. And another thing that we've talked about, and we've chatted with some folks from these committees, but I'd love to see some collaborations. And I think that the advisory committee overall would love to see some direct collaboration with AAS committees that are representing underrepresented groups. So, it's sort of talking about multi-axis and multi-dimensional representation and how those folks can get, prepared and best prepared for careers beyond academia. And of course, the AAS has multiple committees that fall under this, and I think it would be great to have some direct collaboration. I've personally chatted with a couple of folks from these committees, and we've all said it sounds awesome and we should do something, but we haven't really, formalized anything or gotten any beyond a hey, that'd be a great idea kind of stage. And so, yeah, we're open from ideas from y'all, from other AAS committees, from AAS members, people interested in suggesting things that we could take a look at, advise on, make a statement on, et cetera. I'll point out that the BCAC does have a Slack workspace. It's not super active, but it does exist. And if you really want to get more involved or reach out directly, reach out to me if you really want, especially if you're interested in ATDS specifically. But I will recommend reaching out to the committee co-chairs. Shaul and Eric are current co-chairs, and I believe they nominally are co-chairs for at least a couple more years. And their information is here and also on the BCAC webpage on the AAS website. And with that, I'll say thank you. I'll stop sharing and go ahead and take questions, or we can keep chatting.
Yeah, questions and comments. That's a lot of information, and it already makes me very satisfied that we held this meeting, because this is exactly what I needed to accelerate, help accelerate our committee. So, and knowing, yeah, I've learned quite a few new things today. So, comments or questions from the group?
I have one because I know this has come up a lot, that a lot of people have asked about this idea of having a list of astronomers who have, gone on to other careers. And I was just thinking, I know to make it a little bit more manageable and offload some of the effort, I know there is an option on LinkedIn to create LinkedIn groups. And so one idea might be just creating a LinkedIn group that former astronomers can join, and that way people can easily network and meet people for informational interviews or get advice and that sort of thing. Might be an easy-ish way to manage that. A thought.
Yeah, somebody mentioned that in HDS Slack. I feel like in the last couple of weeks, somebody brought that up, and I was like, "Yeah, that sounds cool." In general, I'm not, I'm on LinkedIn. I use it for job searching and networking, but I haven't played with that too much. Happy if somebody wants to take the lead and start it, because that is, I think, personally, at least for folks in industry, the best way to keep up-to-date contact information where people are working. The issue with any kind of online database is they get stale, especially for folks in tech industry that change jobs every 1 to 2 years. The career profiles are awesome, but the ones on the AAS page are literally more than 10 years old. So one person I do know is still a data scientist. They're 4 or 5 jobs later, but yeah. So any kind of online static resource, even if it's edited is going to get stale quickly. And so that was something we've discussed in BCAC is, could we keep something like that going? Could we offload that onto the AAS and part of the membership directory or something? But again, things get stale, et cetera. So I think LinkedIn is the way to go, is reasonable for sure.
Yeah, I think that's actually quite a interesting idea, instead of trying to keep everything in various places and that gets stale. So other questions, comments? I'm gonna step in with one that just jumped out at me, because I have had a couple of different faculty members say to me, I really wanted to put together a panel. It took me 3 months, and then it all collapsed because I couldn't do it fast enough. I didn't have enough time to make sure everyone to get the coordination done. And so when I look at that need and interest to have panels, if that is not something that we can take on, if there's some sort of format that we can either take advantage of panels that are already get the word out, ones that exist, or create some other resource that will fill that niche that provides people with examples of varieties of different people doing lots of different jobs. So thoughts on that?
I mean, I'll go. Scott mentioned, a couple times the Beyond Academy work at the AAS winter meetings always have a career panel. They have a lot of people. They have a broad range of beyond academic careers. I don't know if we've ever recorded one, but if the AAS overall would be good with recording one and posting it, I think that would be awesome personally. And then also there's the series that Elena Levine has sort of hosted on behalf of the employment committee. I was on a panel for data science careers with 2 other data scientists. And so there's a handful of those. There's that webpage, and I know Chelsea can talk much more about that stuff, but there are some of those. I will point out that even the advice given in some of those, can fluctuate, quite a bit. There's some fundamentals that are certainly evergreen, but job market and types of skills and types of tooling that does evolve. So, there's some of that you don't want to keep them around for too long, but I think a lot of those could be useful. Making them discoverable, making them useful, or not useful because they are useful, but discoverable and easy for people to find and utilize in the format that they want. That I think is the challenge that we should discuss. I think a lot of stuff does exist already that's super useful.
That's good. Yes, I'm finding that out today as well. And one of the things that our committee had talked about was creating a slide deck that people could use that just have up at the beginning of a lecture, that would have just the briefest of information plus a QR code to more information about a profile of someone's career, and just have that ubiquitously playing in the background at the beginning of lectures might be a helpful resource of looking at that. And I'm thinking that we can start playing with that, or creating that and seeing how it plays through this. COCO is having people present about their career, and then we mine that clip, and we mine the basic information to start creating that deck. Just like my endless notes about what the other committees are doing are not nearly as useful as the slide decks that you guys put together today. So I'm pretty happy about where we're going right now. So
I also wanted to mention something that I heard a bit more about at the AAS meeting, which is the AAS Agents program, which I think is going to be useful for getting more resources into people's hands. So what this is basically large institutions have sort of a AAS agent, a rep at their institution who can help pass on information, which I think is going to be particularly useful for us doing outreach to early career folks, because a lot of early career folks aren't necessarily AAS members yet. So we can, advertise stuff all we want on AAS mailing lists, but they aren't on the mailing list or in the habit of ignoring the mailing lists, they won't know about it. But if you can basically activate the AAS agents, and they will, tell them what you want to, provide, and then they can circulate it a little bit more widely than just to the usual AAS members in the departments and get into the hands of the undergraduates and the PhD students who are not yet AAS members.
Yes, getting undergraduates early to start thinking about all the options that are available to them, and then what supplemental pieces to their degree when they're choosing their electives will support them moving in one direction or another, I think is really important. And getting our focus will be making sure those resources get out to the lecturers and the faculty members. Okay. We've done pretty well here. Any other thoughts, comments, or, past things you'd like to see? Shaul will be presenting the Academy's report, because I think he does a very good job of summing up what's there and why should we care about it. So I think that will be one thing that we are going to, a resource that we will present possibly at the next COCO. And as for the other COCOs, I tried 2 different dates and 2 different times, and we'll see if one pops up as a more easily attended, a better time zone or a different day that works better. I found just that would be more efficient to just try that instead of sending out endless polls about who can meet when, because you never know. And recordings are nice. Okay.
Kate, could you I don't think I have those other dates, or if I did, I missed them. Could you send them out so I can block it on my calendar now and it won't get filled up?
I will throw them into because one thing I haven't done is put up any kind of web page for this. And that's possibly something I've got to think about. I've talked to Tom about where could we possibly post some of this information. So I'm putting our meeting list into the chat, and those are on my calendar, and they will be happening then. So, and then after that, my summer gets crazy, and I will be spending the summer in the land of satellite internet. So we'll either pause or somebody else gets to host for the summer. So we'll follow that. And yeah, please feel free to, I think there's a lot of information for the subcommittee to mine in terms of getting the next 3 heaping cups of conversation, planned out. I want to be able to get agendas out or ideas out early. So we're advertising that to entice people to first watch this overview and then get excited about what we're going to be presenting next and see if we generate that interest. But feel free to send me ideas, but we will continue. Right. Any other closing comments before we let you go? Well, thank you everyone for joining the first COCO.